All right. Well, welcome everyone. We've actually had really a load of fun over, well, we'll be quitting Will's email, won't we? I even jinxed it and it's making a boatload of noise. We have been having loads of fun so far. We had a presentation and I'm going to speak in Australian times that Monday morning was really nice to talk about kind of since last year, what have we been doing in the outdoor therapy world? What have we been learning? And what was really fascinating was it kind of led really well into Graham's talk this morning about kind of rolling with the environment and what happens and how we have to regulate ourselves when things from left field happen and a goat walks out in the middle of your session. Graham texted me today and said, maybe there's something to this goat stuff and I should start writing about goats. And I said, Graham, we're already contentious enough. Reel it in with the goats. And then we spoke to my friends, Josh and Margaret, who we all met at the same time. And Josh and Margaret are married, have children, and have had this long career in the adventure therapy sphere. But I'm passing on to Unda, someone I rope into all of my projects because I'm needy and because when I meet someone that I think is really smart and awesome, I don't let them go and do other things because I'm a control freak. So Unda is calling in from Latvia, and I know this is probably going to be an Australia-centric crowd that's here now. But I have to say, if you are someone lucky enough to have met Unda, you know this is someone who knows how to call bullshit on things and also is someone so eager to be a part of this field and move things forward. And that is one of the reasons why I love having Unda as my friend. And as Graham says, everything will be recorded, everything will be shared. We'll move them out of Zoom when we're done and send everything out. But so with that in mind, hopefully many of you can come join many of us in Latvia next summer for the gathering of Adventure Therapy Europe. And there's information of that in the resources you will get after this recording. So with that, Unda, thank you for joining us. I know it's early for you and you've got a sick bub at home, as the Australians will say, a sick little guy. And it's 5:30 for me, probably 6 o'clock for Graham. So we're at fun time and you're at parenting and work time. So thank you for joining us and we're really excited to have you here.
Thank you, Will. Thank you, everybody, for joining here. It is a great honor for me to be here and to present in Social Science Week this series. And I'm apologizing for my language. This is not my native language, but I hope you will understand me. So just to understand what I'm trying to tell you in the broader way. So today I'm here to tell you about this outdoor therapy program that I created that was, it's called Paddleboarding in Your 90s, but not really. It was just an outdoor therapy program for elderly or for seniors. And we did a lot of great stuff together. And I am eager to tell you a bit more about how it went. So just about a few words about myself. I am an occupational therapist and I'm also a social worker, and adventure therapy here in Latvia is a totally new field, and we started to build this field about 3 or 4 years ago when we created with amazing people together this Adventure Therapy Latvia NGO, which is like right now the main organization that kind of facilitates different kind of adventure therapy programs and provides some training as well. And I am a board leader right now in Adventure Therapy Latvia, but my day-to-day life is more related to working with at-risk youth and their families in social support and rehabilitation center. So I provide individual sessions and group. I also facilitate group work as well. And a bit, I also teach in university here in Latvia. as well. That's in a few sentences about myself. And I promised you to talk about seniors, but before I do that, I need to start with telling a little bit about this beautiful lady, my dear friend, Anna. She's also my colleague in the adventure therapy field. She's also occupational therapist and also movement and dance therapist. And we call each other work wives, because when we work together, we work the best. And so last summer, we came together and thought, okay, all our projects are done already and we want to do something together again. So what could that be? And as I already mentioned, adventure therapy is super new field here, and we don't have this huge past history about what is the good practice, how to do that, and with whom to do that. And we are just learning these things from you. But last summer we were very curious and we felt very excited about to discover what is actually out there and what is possible, because there are no rules for this in Latvia. Not really, because it's not really somehow structured, or we don't have these specific qualifications to facilitate adventure therapy. So we were very curious what we could do, what is actually possible, because usually everybody works with teenagers, with young adults, with kids, etc., and with social risk populations, and that is everybody has written quite a lot about that. But we were just thinking how it would be to work with our grandmothers. That would be something completely different, and we just wanted to experiment with that. Would it be actually possible to go out in adventures? We could not really imagine. One of my grandmother could go in adventures, but the other one, she might not be that willing. So that would be weird. And our senior generation grew up in this post-Soviet country, and their emotions are very depressed, and they don't talk about them, and they quite often feel quite lonely, but they also don't talk about that. And we felt that they might need help. They're not saying that they need help, but we thought they might need help. And we just wanted to find out how this all fit together and what is our place, with whom we would like to work actually in the future as well. And we felt that this is the right time for experimentation. So this program we actually created in a sense to learn from it. It was not like a research project or something like that. It was something to really discover how broad can be outdoor therapies. So what we did, we prepared the adventure therapy program for seniors or elderlies, or people who identified themselves as seniors, who would say that, yes, I'm already retired, or maybe I already have grandkids, and that's why I think I'm a senior. And the main purpose was to find these seniors who have some kind of difficulties right now, or some kind of changes or transformations in their lives. For example, they are retiring right now and they need to adjust to these new life roles, or maybe they became a grandparent, or maybe they lost somebody, their loved ones, and we wanted to be the support for them in these life situations, in this phase. And we decided to make a 6-month-old program for that, where we would meet once in a month for full adventure day. And we wanted to have a group of 8 people. It would be a closed group, and we promoted it online. And the cost for whole program altogether was 600 euros, where everything was included in this price. So we promoted this program online, and then our first difficulty started. So at the beginning, the big issue was that this program was expensive. They had to cover the costs from themselves, and in Latvia, seniors usually don't have that kind of money. So one session cost 100 euros, and they felt it was like just ridiculous. It was very, very expensive. So we actually started to promoting this for the kids and grandkids to make this as a gift for them, for their grandparents. And most of the participants who participated actually gained this as a gift from their family. The second thing, there started a lot of comments where seniors actually thought that we are laughing about them. Because, like, what are you thinking? We are old, we are sick, we can't go to adventure. That's crazy, all day outdoors, like, that's ridiculous. And a lot of them actually thought that we are like laughing about them because of these adventures and because of how expensive it was for them. But in the same time, there was a lot of people who thought this is an amazing idea. A lot of seniors thought this is an amazing idea because usually when there are seniors who want to go outside and who want to participate in adventurous activities, they are usually not provided for them. If there are adventure therapy groups, or not adventure therapy groups, but just adventurous groups or boat rides or something, they are not very suited for them, for elderly. They're not supported transportation for going to the specific wilderness place, or they're not equipment for that, or all the other people in the group are very young and they don't feel like included. So there were actually also a lot of people who said that this is amazing, finally something that they were looking for as well. But only 5 people applied at first. And that was actually a place where we had to decide, so what are we going to do? It almost covered the costs of the program. So we were like, oh, let's just go ahead with this. And because the main goal for us was just to learn from this experience. So we decided that 5 is going to be the bare minimum. And so we started to prepare for all the activities with the 5 people in group. The next thing was that participants were very diverse in terms of age and physical ability. So the youngest 2 were 65-year-old, all were women, and the oldest was 94 years old. And so you can also imagine that these younger ones, they were actually quite fit and active, and they one of them even went to 20 kilometers long hikes every week. So she was very fit and very active. And the older ones were quite limited in their mobilities and in their skills, and they had some hearing problems and breathing problems and health problems, etc., that we had to keep in mind all the time. And when we decided, okay, fine, we can deal with this, then health problems started. So at the beginning of the program, a day before the program, one of the participants, the oldest one, this 94 years old participant, she already had some bigger health issues, so she couldn't participate in the first session, but she planned to move on for the second one, but at the end she didn't. So actually she just quit the group even before really starting the program. And the oldest participant was 80 years old in this program, and they were only 4 at the time. One of them there was one additional participant that came later, and there was one that left the group because she didn't have enough funding for that. So all together in the program, we had only 4 participants at the end. But so we were still very curious, me and Unda, and we still wanted to learn. So we decided, okay, let's just do it. And we prepared these each adventure days that was dedicated to some kind of main topic or main adventure activity. And for many activities, we also invited specialists, and thank you for them. Thanks a lot for them, because they offered their help just for free, because we really actually didn't have money for them to pay as well. But and also one like a challenge for us was that the program took place during the cold months. It was from October to May. There were 2 months that we postponed activities because of the weather or due to health problems, participant health problems. So altogether, it was actually quite a long program. And the challenge for us was that we had to choose adventure activities that we would be able to do in this cold weather, and also that we would be able to adapt to these physical limitations. But the journey began, and I want to show you these 6 sessions that we had just in some pictures. So the first session took place in some very, very beautiful place. It was a lake in between the forest. It was very quiet. We were the only people there in the autumn, early autumn, very magical place. And the main tasks for this session was just to getting to know each other and creating therapeutic group. And we used different kind of experiential education activities for trying to make them as a group and putting them together to work. They experienced this paddleboarding. And as you can see, we adjusted and adapted how this activity would be possible for all of them. So the oldest one, whose balance was not that good, she could sit and paddleboard as well. And at the beginning, they were very afraid. Most of them were very afraid of getting into the water. One of them couldn't swim, and it was quite cold actually that day. But in the same time, there was this oldest woman, oldest participant, and she was like, "Yeah, let's do that." And she was the bravest one. And then the youngest ones, they couldn't really even like say that, no, I'm not ready. They felt that I just have to also go there, and they wanted to, but they were quite afraid. But they didn't really said that to us before they stepped on the paddleboard. And afterwards, they were just sliding in the lake and in this silence, and they were singing songs. And when they came to the shore, they said that they had in the last 10 years, they had never experienced such a calmness like they had in that moment, when they actually they expected to feel to feel afraid and to be scared of this, but actually they felt such a calmness, and that was very empowering. And they also afterwards their body language expressed so much this proudness. They were so proud of themselves and of each other, and that was something very, very magical. And we were fascinated how good this all started at the beginning, and how good it actually was facilitated. Also, they defined these personal goals, and we set some boundaries and everything. So, but this first session, I think, was just amazing. So what happened afterwards? The next session was in the forest and in the seaside, and it was about the path of life from childhood to that moment. There was this hike, and also there was this forest bathing session, and different kind of activities around and nature, and how while we tried to initiate this connection with nature. And they also had this opportunity to try out slacklining as well. And so the topics were about how how has been their lives since the childhood to that moment. They walked kind of from that birth moment to the moment right now, and told the stories about that, and felt themselves in different moments in their lives. And it also was how to balance right now their lives as well, because they don't have work anymore, and they have quite a lot of free time, but in the same time they don't have time for things. So it was a lot of about balancing things in their lives as well. So the third session was about safety, and it was about safety in outdoors and also safety in their everyday lives. So in this session, they learned a lot of outdoor skills about how to tie ropes and how to put the shelter. And afterwards, in the end of the session, they also had this sauna ritual as a safe place for healing. But this was all about the safety, because some of them in their families do not really feel safe as well. So they have difficult situations at home. And so we talked a lot about how to create a safe environment around themselves as well, how to safeguard themselves. The first session was about caring for others and themselves, and we visited this amazing place. We have in Latvia this one woman. She's not a physiotherapist or a trainer. She's horse masseur. She's actually massaging horses and dogs. So that's, I don't know, that's kind of maybe a weird thing or a new thing, I don't know, but she's doing that. And so we visited her, and she taught these participants how to care for the horses, how to brush them, rub them, and how to stretch them. As you can see, there's the picture where they're holding the tail of the horse, right? And they're actually like doing that, and they're stretching the horse. And that was, it felt scary. And the first time it feels like, in my childhood, everybody told me, don't go to the back of the horse, it can hit you or something. And this young woman that is this horse masseur, she told how to do that properly, so that would be actually beneficial for the horse, and how to overcome the fear, and how to actually get this connection with animal. And it was very, very calming and very, very nice, and they loved it a lot. And they also had this opportunity to try out horseback riding, and for most of them it was the first time in their lives when they tried it. But this session actually was not just about that, not just about horses and animals. It was about how to care for others, and also how not to forget about ourselves, because that is something we Latvians do a lot. We care for others and we forgot about ourselves, and we forgot about our needs. And so this session was a lot about knowing your own needs, knowing where are the boundaries, and also not to overcare or kind of like setting the boundaries for others, not to overcare. So because this is something that they are experiencing right now. When they are older, they feel that society is like saying, you can't do that, you can't do that, I will do that for you. So they are losing their autonomy, and we talked a lot about these things as well. The fifth session was more about outdoor skills. It was quite crazy weather, and that time it was deep snow, and it was raining and snowing and everything. And we went to this, we don't have mountains, we just only have hills, but we had this hill quite steep, and they had to slide down using ropes. And down there was this very beautiful waterfall. And so they had the opportunity to improve their outdoor skills and to go hiking, and they had to show us what they have learned throughout this program, like preparing a fire without matches, and preparing food, and putting shelters again and again, so because it was very difficult for them. And later on, we also had the opportunity to be inside a bit, and with the help of nature, with the animals and also some rocks and the other nature elements, so we had this deeper connections with ourselves, and nature helped us like a mirror to reveal some deeper understanding about ourselves and showing that to others. And the last session was a bit more in the springtime, because we postponed it because we really wanted to have this boat ride, and we thought it's not really possible in super cold weather for them, so we postponed it until the May. And this was about the flow of the river of the life, and how it is just to go with the flow, and how it is to deal with difficulties in this this river, how it is to communicate with others, right, in this boat as well. And in this session, they also talked about their past as well. They brought a lot of pictures from their past, and they told their like bravest stories, and where they felt proud of themselves in their past, and also how they see their future ahead right now after this program. And in this last session, we gave some extra. We actually made a 2-day program, a 2-day event, when they had this opportunity to sleep outside just underneath the shelter. And that was also something huge for them, because it was like it's spring, it's outside, there's no roof, no nothing, there's no toilet, and so that was a challenge for them, of course, as well. But it really was about overcoming these challenges in a way. And the amazing thing about these participants, about these women, was that they were ready for everything. They really wanted these crazy experiences, as crazy as they could be for them, and then they wanted to try out everything we could provide. Yeah, so this is in just short pictures how it looked. And there are like some activities and interventions that they experienced. So it was paddleboarding, boat ride, hikes, ropes, outdoor skill training, experiential learning activities. There was camping and sleeping under the shelter, animal-assisted therapy, forest bathing, nature-based therapy methods, sauna ritual, journaling, letter writing, storytelling, movement and dance therapy methods. We cooked a lot outside as well, and a lot of psychoeducation as well. So actually different kind of things. There was not this like one very specific this how should I say approach. It was quite eclectic in a way, because they also wanted to try different ways, different things, how to do things, and that is what we tried to provide to them. Okay, but I want to tell you about what I think actually worked the best in this program. So we used a lot of things, as you can see, but there are things that I think worked better, and there are things that worked not as good as we thought. And these are just my thoughts, because this is not a trail, like research or clinical trial. I don't have objective results, but this is just something that I observed that I think worked better. Activities with high perceived risk. I would not imagine this, but actually seniors wanted very risky activities, not physically demanding activities, but they wanted to feel this, oh my God, this is crazy, I can't do this. They really wanted to feel that, this excitement, this adrenaline, and to really like work with themselves to overcome it. And at the first session, they said that, yes, we are ready for everything, like really for everything. We can do anything, because we're all like, what can happen? Like, whatever, there's nothing to lose. We are ready for everything. And this is actually what it was. They wanted risky things, or something that looked risky for them. And the most riskiest things were in this time was something that was related to water. So paddleboarding, the supporting, boat ride, horseback riding as well a bit, and maybe the sleeping outside because they had to deal with the cold as well, and that was a challenge for them. But I think these were the most challenging activities for them. Not ropes, for example. It was like cool, fine, but it's fine. You can like they felt that they can what's the word? They can fall down, but it's like, oh, it's not that high, so it doesn't matter. I'm falling all the time, so kind of like doesn't matter. But they were afraid of drowning, for example, right, or getting wet. So high risk activities, and because afterwards they felt so excited that they could manage to do them, and they were so proud. And that is something that just kept them moving. It was amazing. So that was very good. Connecting with nature. This is something that happened very spontaneous with them because they lived in a city center, and here in city they also can go out and they will experience nature, but it will be different. So it's not going to be like wildlife, not like that, but when they were able to see these waterfalls or very beautiful landscapes and places where they can't really go in everyday life because they don't have this individual transportation, they felt like in childhood. I think it was something from their past, and they connected with nature very strongly and very fast, and it was spontaneous. Really, really nice. And we also use a lot of this structured methods for them to connect with the nature, and that helped a lot as well. But it happened also very spontaneously, and we could just sit somewhere and just look at the nature, and it was already very good. Connecting with places and stories from their past. This is also very interesting. If we went to a place where they already had some kind of connection from the past, from their childhood or something, that became very special somehow, because it kind of felt that they felt younger in that place. They remembered these old memories from their past, and it for them it was something very, very magical, that they have this opportunity to actually experience something like again with their grandparents, but through the memories from that place, but still they were very vivid and very, very strong. So I think going to the places that are important for them was very, very nice. And sometimes it just happened. We didn't plan it, but sometimes it just happened because Latvia is very small. So there's not that many places to go. And we also talked a lot about their stories from their past. And I think it was important for them to be listened to, because right now, of course, they also meet their families or sometimes their friends, and they can talk and tell their stories, but they experience that it's not always the case that they listen. They hear what they're saying, but they're not listening really. So that was important for them as well. Photos. I would not imagine that photos would have such a huge importance actually, but it was. Because so these events happened only once in a month, and during the months, they said that almost every day or every second day, they were going through the photos of the previous activities, previous adventures, and they were like living in this event and living in this program, or thinking about the next events all the time. It was something that kept them going in these cold months, and it kind of gave them like this hope and also this motivation. There was this older woman, she was 80 years old, and in this from November she started to go to this water gym or something like that, water program, where she where she went twice a week just to stay fit, so she could join all these activities. So it was actually super cool because it promoted her health, in like also this somatic health in a broader way. And she really thought a lot about how to be fit and healthy and full with energy, so she could keep up with others. And photos helped her. They motivated her a lot. And also, one other thing about photos, they send these photos to the family, their families. And especially for this one older woman, she has grandkids. And she said that when she sends these photos, the grandkids are saying, "Oh my God, I can't even do that. I would be so afraid. And you did that. Oh my God, you're the bravest grandmother in the world." And that kind of changed her identity, that she's not this boring grandmother that just only cooks pancakes or does stuff like that. She's this very brave grandmother and super cool grandmother, and kids are so like proud of her. And she said that just keeps her moving, and that just warms her heart. And so the photos actually works a lot. It's like a proof that, yes, I can do this. Also, they did not know anything about this program before every event. So everything was a surprise for them. Once in a month, we just send the time and place where we will meet, and what should they wear, or what kind of clothes they should take with them. And that's all. They did not know anything at all. So this was also something very important, because they said that they every month, about 1 week before the event, they started to prepare. So they thought about, what am I gonna wear then? Why should I take these kind of gloves? Why should I take these kind of trousers? What's gonna happen like with that and that and that? And it kind of already, this event every time started already week before it, because they were really preparing themselves for that. And it made them wondering what's going to happen, and fantasize, and I don't know, but they said that sometimes even this process before this event was even more important for them than the event itself, just this preparing part. So not knowing what will happen this time was actually pretty good for them. And they were like, yes, we are ready for everything. I don't want to know. I just want to be here and enjoy it, and just let's see what the life gives me. Also, there were 2 times when we visited people's homes, and not specifically these people. It was not that much about these other people, but the homes, because this happened in cold months, and sometimes when you're outside quite a lot, and it doesn't matter whether or not we had this fireplace or not, it was kind of like cold a bit. And when they had this contrast of going into the home when it's very warm, where you can drink tea, where you can sit around the table and just talk and feel that it's very cozy, this very, very cozy feeling, that was something I can't really even explain it. But sometimes for them, it felt like this was it. That was the moment when they actually built this connection, real connection with each other, because they felt very comfortable, very cared for, and very warm, and I don't know, like home, actually like home. So being inside in this very cozy place, that was actually also for sometimes very important. And eating already prepared food. So maybe that's a bit weird, but when food was already prepared, they felt that they are taken care of. Somebody cares for them, and they don't have to actually work for it. because they are preparing food every day, each day. They know how to do that. They're very good at it. But when somebody does that for them, they're just having this pure pleasure of enjoying it. And that was also very, very nice and very interesting. And of course, unstructured socialization. For example, when we're just driving in the car to the venue place, we were trying not to interfere with their conversations. They were just chit-chatting about all these small things that are happening in their lives, and that was also very, very important. And we could see that actually real friendships was made there in these moments. But also there were things that did not work as we planned. I'm not saying that they did not work at all. They were not bad, but we planned or we expected something more out of them. But it didn't happen like we expected, really. So talking about their feelings and emotions, or like trying to give them the language of how to express themselves. So we had this hypothesis or theory that they have a lot of like depressed emotions that they're not expressing, and they might gain something out of if we could give them the language how to name their emotions, because they actually didn't know how to name the emotions. For example, in the first session, when their body showed that they feel so proud of themselves that they couldn't even actually like express it or tell it how much proud they are, then they didn't know this word proud. They actually, none of them could imagine how to say it, because in Latvia, being proud is something negative. But it's that Soviet context and everything. So you can't be proud, or it's like something like you're very like noisy, or no, it's not that word, but whatever. So it's not very good. So they couldn't express this very positive emotion with this word being proud. So we wanted to help them, to give them the language of emotions, and to help them to connect with their feelings and emotions and sensations and everything. And I would say that sometimes it went quite well and good, but then this was this very important thing that one of the participants told me. She experienced some kind of, there was this one activity, it doesn't really matter what, but she experienced these very good and great emotions about it, and something big happened in her, but she couldn't really tell us about it. And we tried to help her, and she kind of almost did it. She almost told us what actually happened in her, and then she said that while she's telling these things, they are disappearing, they're gone. They're kind of like, when they're saying these things in the words, they're kind of getting smaller, or they're kind of not that big, not that powerful, not that important anymore. So that was something new to me. I didn't thought about it before, but they have used to experience all the emotions and everything very embody, right? They're very embodied, but they cannot express them verbally. But when they were trying to do that, it kind of felt less. So they were actually losing something from it. And then we stopped doing it. So we realized that this is not something they need. It's something that we thought they need. So that was not really what was needed in this program. So this emotion and feeling, we still worked with it, but not that deep, not that intensive, only how much they wanted themselves. Also, writing letters. We had this idea that we should bring back letter writing, like proper letter writing in between these sessions. We organized everything so that each of them would write a letter to another participant in between this month. And it kind of worked a little bit, but not that much, because some of them quite often didn't write a letter. And then there was this little bit like a grudge. I wrote you a letter. You didn't write me a letter. So why is that? Like there's not this equilibrium in this. And there is kind of like, I don't know, a bad feeling about that as well. And also, I think there are these two participants who felt quite lonely in their everyday lives, and they wanted to connect with somebody. And for them, the letter writing worked. It was very good because they were there to find friend. But then there were these two other participants, and they didn't feel lonely in their lives because there were very strong families around them, and it was not necessary for them. It was something that where they could go out and be wild and crazy and do weird stuff, and then they went home, and then they had this family around them, and it was enough for them. They didn't need anyone else in it. So letter writing did not really work as we thought it would. It was not bad, but not as good as we thought. Cooking. This is something that, as an occupational therapist, I think it works amazing, right? We use that as well a lot in adventure and outdoor therapies, because when people are cooking, they're not just learning cooking skills, but they are collaborating and talking, and their decision making, and a lot of things are happening while people are cooking. But with these participants, for them it was like, okay, now I have to cook. Like every day, I will just do this as fast as possible so I could skip this part, and then I could just go back again to this adventure and talking and reflections and nature. It was like a break from the program, the cooking part. They were still talking, they were still doing a lot of things, but it was never with that kind of energy. It was just, okay, let's do this. Da, 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 da. They just cut everything, put in the pot and boiled, and it was good, but it didn't give this therapeutic or collaborative part that we planned for. There was this also one thing. So we really tried to adjust all the activities for everybody, for all the participants. And I think we did that. So everybody could participate in all activities, but we did not adjust the activities for all the expectations. So there were this specifically one participant who was super active and went these big hikes and everything. And her expectation about adventurous activities were super high, like very, very high. So if we had only 5 kilometer hike, then that's not really a challenge. So she wanted something more in terms of very adventurous activities and high risk and etc. But we just couldn't provide it. And I think to do that, we would need a more coherent group with more coherent expectations and abilities to do that. So yeah, that is something that we weren't just able. And a little bit about results, or what they said about the program afterwards. So warm, kind, and welcoming communication, trust, and respectful listening. These are the things that made me long for and look forward to every next meeting throughout our program. Throughout this winter, our adventure was event number 1 for me. And thank you for wanting to work with people who are not so young anymore. Thank you for all the different, interesting, and unexpected adventures. In none of the invitations did I have a thought that I could not do something, because there was a feeling of trust and confidence, the joy of conversations, and the feeling that you are not just listened to, but also heard. Each adventure gave me the confidence that I can do what have never done before. Glad for the sense of community and the joy of meeting people. And I think one of the greatest results from this program was that 2 of the women came to this program saying that they feel lonely. They both had families, but they felt very lonely in their families, and they were quite adventurous and they wanted to go to adventures, but they didn't have anyone to do with that. And after this program, they actually became quite good friends, and they are going to adventures very often already now as well. And at the last session, we heard how they were planning travels around the world as well, so around the Europe. So that is something that I think was a very, very good result out of this program as well. And what we were surprised was that these participants were very, very open to everything new and unknown, and they were ready to do anything we offered. And of course, they had these physical limitations that they couldn't do, but a lot of them they were able to overcome, and we could adjust activities and stuff. But emotionally, their willingness to try often surpasses the youth. And this is something that I think is needed, the possibility for seniors to go out and actually do adventurous stuff. But programs are not purposely designed for them, because usually they're only young people. Usually activities are not very easily to adapted, and usually you have to drive somewhere to get to these activities as well, because they can't drive themselves as well, and then they are not public transport that goes anywhere in the wilderness as well. So these are the things that we understood that seniors need, at least here in Latvia. They want to go out, they want to do stuff, and they want to have this sense of community as well. But they need others to provide the opportunities for that. And that's actually it from me. Thank you very much for attention. And if you have any questions, I would like to answer them.
Unda, I was just thinking, and I have not only Doug joined us at some point, if he's still here, and I saw Doug join, and I went, Doug, you idiot, stop parenting your small children. You are missing the greatest adventure therapy presentation I think I've ever seen, because everything that was a theme here, and I asked Graham to take notes during this, and I think there's a load of people that took notes during this. So I don't know how much time you have, because I know what my notes are is I am just left and I feel so impressed by this I mean, besides the psychodynamic voodoo, but I feel so impressed by what you've done. I'm of course joking. I just want to run through a few little things, and then I just want to say a few. I want to pass to Graham and see what he thinks, and then to others. First off, when you showed a picture of how cold it was, and I saw Graham's face, I thought he almost fainted, because Graham lives in the rainforest area, and it's very warm and humid. One of the big things at the start that I wrote down is I think we can really forget this a lot of times. Like we all know we're supposed to measure things, and I'm a jerk about measuring outcomes and things like that. But at the same time, you have to make sure something runs smoothly before you start running it, that you can actually do it and get it off the ground and make it move. And you said we don't have objective results. They don't exist. There's no such thing. It's what client benefits from what. And looking at how you've tailored one woman sitting in a chair on a paddleboard versus everybody else paddling, and then going, this is stupid, and then learning it's not knots and rope tying, but maybe next time you do this, it will be rope tying. And so it's not really about the ingredients. It's just so about the experience all these people went through. And also, never apologize for your English, because you are better at reading out loud than I am, as well. And I think I had such a moment when you talked about only finding 5 people, and I used the word only really like to be provocative, because my first program I did with True North when I started it was with 3 boys, and I felt like an abysmal failure. I thought, how on earth no one else wants to do this? And then it was one of the most magical experiences. Like, it was so great. And I mean, that was I think 11 or 12 years ago, and all of those kids stay in touch. Like, they're 26, 27, and they'll send me things totally like I don't stay in touch with them. Like, it's really nice, those moments when they happen. And so I thought it was amazing. Graham, what did you end up writing down while I crossed these things out on my list?
But just to follow up on what you said, Will, 15 years ago, I ran a 9-day expedition. We had 4 young people on it, and I thought that was pretty low. That program's been running for 15 years and runs multiple times a year, and is usually more like a dozen kids. So hundreds of kids have gone through on that program, but we started small. Are you going to run this again, Unda?
I don't know, because I think we should apply for some kind of funding for that. And then if we could get it, then yes, that would be nice. Right now, we are again focusing on new challenges, new experiments, and trying to understand what this field is capable of, and where we can fit in it. But we like to work with elderly a lot. We actually really did. But I think in Latvia, we should need funding for it.
Yeah.
And we
that would certainly help. I also have I made an observation that a lot of the things you were saying work really well with your extraordinarily old people is exactly the same as what seemed to work really well for adolescents in my experience. And I know you've got experience that way. Did you see that there was any similarity in the vastly different age groups in the way that they were responding to not necessarily the physical components of the adventure, but the social and the nature connection part?
Yes, there are a lot of similarities, like a lot. How they connect together, how they try to find their place in the group, right? How they actually connect with the nature as well. How they look for small things and then try to I don't know, find the meaning of everything that is happening around as well. A lot of things. The one thing that didn't happen, that is happening a lot in the work where I work with teenagers, are conflicts. There were not really conflicts or some kind of like I don't know, anger or these like maybe not that pleasant emotions. So we didn't experience anything like that really. Yeah, but other than that, of course, they're very, very similar, actually. So yeah, it's not that big of a difference how to work with elderly or teenagers. It's just that you really have to think all the time how to manage health issues a lot. Because, for example, the not thermodynamics, what is it? How they regulate the temperature, right? That is
thermodynamics. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that is different for elderly than for young adults, right? So you have to be aware of these things all of the time, like all the time. So how they're doing that, how they're doing that. So there's a bit slippery road. So what are we going to do now? I don't care if there's a bit slippery road if I'm working with teenagers, but with elderly, it's like, oh my God, this is like a disaster at this moment. I need these very specific climbing shoes, like these laces, or how it's called, like right just to move around like 10 steps. So I need to think about these things all the time, so that changes a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine 4 broken hips all at the one time. That would be bad. I have a technical question. How wide was the paddleboard that had the chair on it?
Oh, I don't know the meters, but it's for 8 people. It's a group paddleboard.
Okay. I've never seen one, so it was intriguing. A good choice.
Yeah, we use them in Latvia quite a lot. It's like a group for group bonding. It's amazing. Yeah.
We've got a question in the chat box, but I wanted to ask something really quick first. I was wondering, do you think if you promoted this program again, do you think you'd use the word adventure before therapy?
Yeah, I would. I would, because that is something they want.
Yeah. I only wrote it down because that was something at the start, like, I can't do this. I won't be able to do this. So I was wondering, how did you not coerce people into it, but how did you talk to them about what they could, what they were capable of doing?
So we actually just asked what are their physical limitations, right? And the goal for us was to challenge ourselves to think of the different adventurous activities that still would be able, that they would be able to do. So we actually saw this as a challenge for ourselves. So we were not like saying, yes, you will go to a 10-kilometer hike, or you will have to do that and that and that, or there will be like a bike ride or something, and you need to check all of the boxes to apply to this program that you can do this. No, we did the opposite way. So what are the limitations? And then based on them, we decided what's going to be the activities.
Right. And then I just had a note here, and then we'll get to the chat board, that I love that you said what the youngest ones did. That you're like, what the youngest ones, and I'm going, they're still 50 years older than I've ever worked with.
65, yeah.
Yeah. It's like my mom.
Yeah.
It's very triggering for me, Unda. No, but so there's 2 questions here about assessment that Natasha asks and Kiora asks, that what kind of screening did you do? I mean, the difference of a 65-year-old and what I imagine a 94-year-old is very different, and managed to make that work. What did you do as far as assessment, not only for mental well-being, but also assessment for adventure-based, or was there none?
So it was not really a formal assessment. So we asked them to just write down everything that they could imagine that we should know about their health. That was one thing. And then we had these telephone calls where we just interviewed them about how they feel, what they're good at, and what different kind of questions about their health. How's their breathing? How's their mobility? Do they experience any health? About the medication, etc. So we did it that way.
Amazing. To think you convinced me to care about people that aren't adolescents is remarkable. And Stefan, I saw you unmuted. What did you think about hearing this? It's pretty amazing.
I loved it. I have got some questions. One question was with 2 subparts, I think. So, Unda, you mentioned psychoeducation, and I wonder what you actually did and how you chose what was appropriate.
So there was this, for example, one session where we worked with stress as well. So that was something that came up, that they feel stressed in some kind of situations. And we used this idea of polyvagal theory, and something that Nevin wrote in his book as well about nature-based therapies, right? Or something like that. The book is called about these circles, and how you tell about this comfort zone and then panic zone, and these different stress levels, and how they can like try out where they feel in different situations, how they feel in different situations, what's their stress level, and how they can compare, stuff like that. Yeah, that was, for example, one thing. The other thing was something about how to cope with different kind of emotions. For example, fear. They experienced fear several times during this program, and the classical thing, how in Latvia it is to think about fear is just don't be afraid. That is what we answer to the fear, right? Just don't be afraid. Do that. So the way we talked about this was how to find courage in your body, actually, to look for it in your body, to scan it and stuff like that. So different kind of things like that. They were not like super long or super like very extensive. It was just if there was a situation that appeared that we felt that yes, we can talk about this, then we added some bits of psychoeducation.
Okay, so it was as stuff popped up, you just said, well, think about this, or this might be helpful, or something like that. So right, okay, thank you.
Oh, I unmute just in time for my dash hounds to go off on the veranda, so apologies for any background noise. I don't see any other questions because you kind of answered the risk screening and functional assessment questions which have come on the chat. I did know, what is a sauna ritual?
That's what I do every day when you call me, Graham.
Sauna ritual is something very Latvian. So, you know, Finnish people have sauna, right? Yeah, that's nothing. That's nothing compare what we have here in Latvia. Come to gate, please, and we will try to demonstrate something, maybe, I think. But yeah, it's the way we go to sauna. And for Latvians, it's the healing place where we connect with nature. Actually, we have these rooms with 12 different kind of these leaves and from with different kind of flowers and salts and honey, and like there are so many elements from nature, and we rub with it and we broom each other, and there's a lot of things happening. So I'm not a sauna master. I can't really explain it to you, but the magic happens there. The voodoo thing that Will doesn't like.
I have a sauna every day. Every day I have a sauna in my garage.
That's not a sauna.
I'll bring some gum leaves into it and some essences, and it will be the same, right?
Oh.
Natasha asks, is it kind of like a sensory room?
Well, there are a lot of senses involved, but it's not really like that. No. It's hard to explain. It's really hard to explain. It's like a place for very old Latvian rituals, and the place that Latvians use for childbirth, for healing, for cleaning themselves, and for connecting with nature. Of course, in Latvia, we also use sauna just for parties as well, or just as a alternative for a shower. But we also have these sauna rituals, and that is just something else.
I've had the introductory Latvian sauna experience, and yes, it's worthwhile having, I can say. I was advised where to go and get better experience, but I never followed that up.
No, I love it. Unda, before we let you go and have a day, there were a few more things that only little things I thought that were so good that really stuck out to me. I love this idea of like actual perceived risk. I also think this notion of perceived risk is really, I think the way it translates is really interesting. Like, I need to scare you to make you engaged. I think it's kind of funny. But I also think because I am a giant teenager, well, I'm like shorter than most teenagers, but I think about it like the way we talk about risk, like risk is the factor, but I really think it's like real is the factor. Like, I often think of the people like if you've ever traveled with young people and you're like, hey, go hang out at the kids club, it's always like 10 years younger than what they're actually capable of doing. Like, it's not cool at all and it's not awesome. And the older someone gets, we tend to, like you said when you were recruiting, that people were like, why do I want to hang out with these young people who are going to talk down to me, who are going to treat me like a child, that I need to be outdoors on a playground like a kindergartner? And I think that so happens. But what I was hearing like was like, it's not really perceived risk, like we told them there was a risk. It's that there was a risk and that was real. And
Yeah.
that is awesome. But they also had people around them to make it safe. And well, ideally, if they fall in the water and it's really cold and they struggle, like, that's hard work, of course. But I think of it like, what is so boring about most kids clubs is also probably what's so boring about what most older people engage in. Like finger painting or good. I'm generalizing here because I can't speak on behalf of what that population does. Is there something, Graham, do you kind of know what I'm saying here, please? No, you're still your microphone's not working, Graham. Well, we'll keep moving on. The other thing I thought was such a meaningful thing, I circled it a million times, and I'll send you my notes, so I'm crossing them out as I ask you about them. When we thought what they needed is such a powerful thing, because I get stuck in that all the time, where I think, oh, I'm just going to go this direction, and then I get trapped because I think that's the best direction, and it's not the best direction. And the clients look at me like I'm an idiot. When throughout the 6 sessions and over the 6 months, was it every session you realized, well, let's not do that again? Or was it at the end that you figured that out?
It was, I think, in the middle, about this trying to understand their emotions and feelings and that, and giving the language about it. It was somewhere in the middle. I think the 3rd session or something like that. Yeah.
Now, I love that you shared that, because I think it's so important that we all know, we've all been there when we were like, oh, we're pushing our hobbies onto people now, and this is not working. Well, Unda, I think this was an amazing presentation, and I really loved it. I mean, I think to learn about this work from a different clientele and a different population, and I just love how you started it with all these apologies. We didn't do a research project. We didn't do this. We didn't do that. We didn't know what we were doing. Who cares? You winged it, and it sounded incredible.
Thank you. I think there's a question. I'm sorry, right?
Okay.
So about worst case scenarios, of course, we had the proper risk management, and we had planned all the like exits, and we had the backup plan if something would happen. For example, we always had extra clothing for all of the participants. It didn't matter whether or not we told them that they have to take extra clothes for everything. We also take a few extra for all of them, and even more. And most of the time we actually used that. And we always had somebody that we could like call if somebody something would happen. We knew that this person could drive and help us out, and it's another car, or to took the participant to a doctor or something. So yeah, we had the proper risk management, the best case scenarios. No, we weren't prepared for the best case.
Thank you for sharing, and I absolutely love this presentation. I thought it was so good, and thank you for those who came. I'll send out the recording and resources for everything, and I hope if it's whatever time zone you're in, you have a good rest of that day, and then yeah, thank you, Unda. That was so wonderful.
Thank you very much for being here, and thank you for inviting me here. Thank you, Will.
Okay. See you all soon.